Today's video is sponsored by me. If you head down to the link in the description below, you'll find a link to my Etsy page where I will be selling Leeds United prints, this being one of them, the Marching On Together print. This is available with a white background as well, with different coloured stripes. And then there's also some other ones there, Leeds Legends print and Champions Again print, and there'll be more added in due course. If you don't make a purchase, still go over there. Make sure you go and like the shop. That would really help me out. Tries to push me up in the Etsy algorithm. That would be great. Thanks for your time. Welcome back to Leeds Lately. We are back with some more transfer news. So before we get into it, if you could hit that big red button down below, that would be great. We've been linked with another striker. Of course, we had a little look last week. It was just a YouTube short about Beto from Everton. There was a potential that Leeds were going to have a look at him for around £20 million. But since then, we've had a bit of news that Everton have kind of done a bit of a U-turn with his recent form and they'd like to keep him. And so we'll be looking elsewhere for a striker, as we know that's one of the things that's on our list. So today is one that I'm quite in favour of, and it is Evann Guessand from, now I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. He currently plays for Nice in the French league. And plays for the Ivory Coast national team as well, and is somebody who I think kind of fits a similar profile to Beto in terms of his physical stature. Now, Guessand is a centre forward, 1.88 metres tall, which I think puts him at about 6'1", 6'2". He's rumoured to be around 25 million euros, so you're expecting a similar price, between 25 and 30 million pounds. But this season, he scored 11 goals and got 8 assists in 32 appearances. So really, 19 goals in 32 appearances is just over a goal or an assist per game. So that's really, really good for him. That's from an XG as well of 8.6. He's scored 11 goals, from an XG of 8.6, and that's non-penalties as well. So that's really, really good from him. Now, he plays in a number of positions, Evann Guessand. He plays out wide some of the time, but primarily he does play as a striker. But I think the fact that he isn't always the first starting choice in the Nice side is, or certainly for the centre-forward role, means that he has played a little bit of his time out wide. But you can see, because of the profile of player he is and the type of player he is, because he's primarily wanting to be a striker, when he does play out in those wide positions, he likes to cut inside, go into the half space, which is something that, of course, Daniel Farke absolutely loves his wingers to do. You see Dan James, you see the fullbacks as well, Bogle, Firpo, Solomon, Nonto, Ramazani, whoever it is, they will always cut into that half space between the full-back and the centre-back and try and, because a lot of goals are scored from there. So Evann Guessand is somebody who will always try to cut inside if he is played out on the wing. So there's a potential that he could essentially be an extra winger as well if there's injuries. But in terms of his centre-forward play, that's what I kind of want to talk about more. He is a player who sometimes likes to drop a little bit deeper, come into the midfield and get the ball. But he is somebody who's really good at carrying the ball as well. With his progressive carries being 3.03 per 90, that puts him in the top 5% of strikers in Europe, in Europe's Big Five leagues, including the European competitions as well. So that really puts him high up there. And successful take-ons as well, that's 1.7 per 90, which again puts him in the top 5% in Europe. So that's really, really good. Some of his other things as well, shot creating actions. So let me just read you out the little description of that. The 2 offensive actions directly leading to a shot, such as passes, take-ons and drawing fouls. So, i.e. he draws a foul, someone takes a free kick, then somebody heads it towards goal. That's a shot creating action. But also, if he was the person who actually assisted a shot, that's also counted as a shot creating action. So again, like we always say, good test of how involved somebody is in attacking play. And with 3.06 shot creating actions per 90, that puts him in the 84th percentile, so the top 16% of all strikers. Assists as well, he's 0.22 per 90, so that puts him in the 80th percentile, the top 20%. So look, it really puts him up there. He's a little bit lower in terms of non-penalty goals than some other strikers. So he's 0.37 per 90, so a goal every 3 games essentially. But that puts him in the 47th percentile. So whilst that's not the best thing in the world, you're looking at his all-around play, and the fact that he has scored 11 goals from an XG of 8.6 this season is really, really good for him. As well as that, he is somebody who actually likes to track back as well. So tackles per 90, 1.55, puts him in the 99th percentile, so the top 1%. His interceptions, 0.62, puts him in the 98th percentile, so the top 2%. And his blocks, 0.96, puts him in the 92nd percentile, so the top 8% as well. So he's coming back on corners, he's defending, he's helping out his teammates, and then he's getting up the pitch as well, available to then go and score goals and get assists and create chances. So those are some really good things. Now, the other thing that we do is we compare him to forwards, as we see on the stats here. So similar forwards that he's been compared to are, in terms of his statistics and his output and stuff, is Leandro Trossard, who we know is very good for Arsenal. Antoine Griezmann, obviously very good. Alvaro Morata, Jose Perez, Raul Jimenez, Diogo Jota. There are a lot of forwards that he can be compared to where you'd go, okay, well, with a player that's putting out the same kind of statistics as those players that I've just mentioned, it's a very good kind of a very good test of how good he is. Like I said, he'd be around 25 million euros. He's only 23 years old as well, so plenty of room for growth and improvement as well, coming to a Premier League team. He's right-footed and, like I said, primarily plays as a centre forward. His contract is until the end of the 2028 season, so his value would be protected. So we would have to pay full price for him. But I will say that he's somebody who I would definitely have on my radar. I think he'd be a very, very good signing for Leeds in terms of his player profile, in terms of the way he likes to go past people. He offers something a little bit different as well. I know, obviously, we've got Joel Pereira. He scored, 20 goals this season, 19, 20 goals this season, got himself the golden boot. But Joel Pereira, whilst he does like to come deep and get the ball and has a good passing range on him as well, he's not necessarily the most mobile forward, and he's not somebody who's going to go and get the ball and carry it as well. So what I think is important about Evann Guessand is he offers something completely different to what Joel Pereira offers. So in different games, different scenarios, you might need somebody like Evann Guessand if you are playing a bit of a backs to the wall performance and you need somebody to get you up the pitch. When you have that clearance out, he's tall, he's got a big frame, so he can bring the ball down. He's also very good at carrying it as well, so he can be a little bit of a get out of jail card. So what I like to have is multiple options that are different types of players. I don't want to have 2-3 strikers that all do the exact same thing, so when you make a substitute it doesn't change the game. Somebody like Evann Guessand would make a big difference in terms of how you actually play the game when you are referring to your striker. So for me, I think it's a no-brainer, this one. Obviously the price tag is fairly high, but if you're talking about having 100 million plus, maybe 150 million plus, if you're spending around 25 to 30 million on each player, you're getting 6 or 7 players in then of a very good quality that can do you a job. When we were last in the Premier League, we were spending, £10 million on Rocker, 13 million pounds on Robin Koch, 10 million pounds on Diego Llorente. When you're talking about wanting to get a little bit better, if you're spending 20, 25 million, provided that they're the right players, I do feel like that will make a big difference in terms of the overall quality of the squad, especially given that we would have that much money to play with. So for me, Evann Guessand is a definite let's have a look at trying to get that one across the line. I would really like to see him come in for Leeds. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Of course, make sure you hit that big red sub button down below as well, because there'll be plenty more transfer content coming out. And yeah, thanks for watching Leeds lately, and I'll see you in the next one.